Hi and welcome to the Awakened Mind podcast series. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined with a really good friend of mine, Arvind, who's a truly remarkable meditation teacher with a lifetime experience of meditation and spirituality. You're going to love this discussion because we're going to delve into deep insights and the core principles of Buddhism, including the first thing that the Buddha taught after enlightenment called the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. In this podcast, you're going to discover valuable lessons for living a more meaningful and awakened life. Furthermore, we're going to take a deeper dive into Arvind's fascinating spiritual journey, starting from his childhood in India and evolving through his time learning meditation in various ashrams and temples in India and Thailand. Arvind's going to share with us his profound understanding of various Buddhist meditation techniques. We'll be exploring how to go beyond basic modern mindfulness and understand the true nature of our mind and how to cleanse and purify the subconscious mind. And ultimately, you're going to discover a path in this podcast to lead to high levels of inner peace, happiness, and true liberation. But quickly, before we take a deeper dive into the podcast, I have something special for you. It's a brand new free training on how to become a confident, successful meditation teacher, even if you're new to meditation. It's full of practical tips and techniques on how to enhance and take your personal meditation practice to a higher level, and also to teach meditation and share the power of meditation with others if you would like to. Simply visit the link in the show notes in the description of this video to learn how to get access to the free training. So let's take a dive into the podcast now with Arvind. So welcome, Arvind. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for having me here.
Great to have you here. So I think what would be great to start with is how you first started your meditation journey. And if you could share a little bit about where you grew up and the community that you lived on as well in India.
Yes. I started my meditation journey at the age of 8, 9, since I was a kid. I used to go to temples with my father and mother. So in the temple, we have a meditation space where we will sit and meditate. This is how I got into meditation for the first time. And then we also go to ashrams that is very close to our house in Pondicherry. I'm from Pondicherry, which is a city in south of India. So we have this Auroville ashram. That's where I started to really go practicing meditation regularly in the ashram.
Yeah, or Aurobindo.
Yes, Sri Aurobindo.
Sri Aurobindo, yeah, that'll be great. And so then when you were 18, if I had that right, you lived in a place called Auroville. It's a community with lots of Europeans and different people from all over the world and some Indians. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Yes, Auroville is an international township. It is a community. It is also a concept from a teaching of Sri Aurobindo.
Ah,
yes. So the community was started in 1930s. In 1968, they actually started the place. They found the place Auroville, and then people around the world, they came to support this project of Auroville. So Auroville, it's a place for people from any race, any religion. So there is no religion actually. So it's a place for humanity to grow and support, to grow in a state of consciousness. So that was the goal of Auroville, to live in a way that is also mentioned by Sri Aurobindo, the integral way of living.
Yeah, and I think that's great that that it's encompassing of all different cultures and all different communities. We are all ultimately from one race, one source. So I think that's a very beautiful thing. And especially in the world today, I think there's even more of a greater need for things like that. Okay, great. So would you like to start with what inspired you to start practicing meditation? Did you do it for your own personal reasons? Like, you were quite young, very different to me. I started like when I was in my 40s or something. So would you like to share what inspired you to start practicing meditation?
Yes, when I started meditation in the beginning, I was first into the practice. I know it was since early time for me, age of 8, 9. So it started with the practice directly. And then later I learned about meditation. So what we were doing, what happened when we do meditation. So in the beginning, we started meditation at the temple. We have the Dhyana Madam, the yoga space or meditation hall where we will sit and meditate. And then later what brought me into the meditation is inquiring myself, who am I? And also inspired by the teaching of Sri Ramana Maharishi.
Yeah. His classical questions of who am I? So how old were you when you started to contemplate on this question? It's
At this at age of 1920. So I was growing in Auroville when I moved to Auroville. And because where I started to meet people from all over the world, many nationalities. And when I raised in India, I raised in a really traditional way. And then I thought the life is this, like I have a concept. The life is going to college, getting graduated, having a job, and this. And I started to really ask myself, who am I? Why do I exist? And who am I?
yeah, it's really interesting. Just on that topic, do you think that's related to your life purpose or your life mission? And I know you're a very good Buddhist teacher. It's in Mahayana Buddhism, they talk about the Bodhisattva. Do you think they're linked, those two concepts at all?
Yeah. And also, when we ask ourselves, who am I? Often, whatever we receive this answer is always, most of the time, is from our conceptual mind.
It's your conceptual mind that is giving you the answer.
Yeah.
So what was your higher mind telling you that who you were? I'm curious.
The higher mind, it is, some point we ran out of concept, and then we starting to open up to the experience. So we starting to see things clearly. So it's if you could say, we can put it in any definition in many ways. We are a spiritual being. We all are a spiritual being having a human experience. We can put this in one of the a definition that we can say in words.
One lens, yeah.
One way of seeing. So there are many ways to see it. We can also see as the soul in this way. We can see it, or we can also see it in other ways. So when we go into meditation, it helps to see things clearly.
We could go very deep on that, but let's go to another question. Maybe at the end of the podcast, everybody, we're going to explore the spiritual realms a little later in the podcast. We'll keep it really practical now, so make sure you watch to the end. So let's go to the next question is, how would you say meditation's impacted your life personally?
Meditation personally helped me a lot because when we don't practice meditation or mindfulness or any practice, all our doors, that is our sense organs, are so stimulated these days with the social media or news or television. So we are so actively reacting to all our senses, and because we are reacting, and there is also a lot of stress or emotion involved. But meditation helps us to really slow down, to see all the senses, to notice how this is all happening. And then it helps to really to be less reactive, because when we don't do meditation, we are often reactive to the thoughts, sounds, or perception of the mind, different stories of the mind. We tend to really believe them so quickly and react. But when we practice meditation, it helps to have a view that this all happening. This is not us, this thought. It's all happening. We don't have to believe them.
Yeah, you don't have to believe them, but there's some thoughts that you want to believe, obviously, as well. Yeah, so it's like we're talking about this way of not automatically reacting without wisdom and knowledge and things like that. And things in our past that have already happened and occurred, and we're still reacting to them.
Yeah.
Where if we can develop that clear view, like you're talking about,
Yes.
then we can act with more ease and differently.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that. Would you like to share a point in your life where meditation had a really powerful shift, or did you have any enlightened experiences or things like that?
Yes, often when we don't practice meditation, our mind tend to be reactive, and we also form something mentally. This is you can call mental formation or attachment. So especially when we have a lot of attachment, we can't see things clearly. So we suffer because of the pain, or we suffer because of certain conditioning that we have developed unconsciously. We also suffer because of the changes that is happening in our life. So when we are really attached to something, it's really not easy to see things clearly. But when I started to do meditation in those days and hot days, when life was really challenging, I continued practicing and practicing. At some point, by having a lot of practice of meditation, somehow it changed the perspective of how I see my suffering, and it helps to really clearly see the attachments, how we are attaching to the things about our future, or things about what happened in the past, and how we are having this expectation. So the meditation at some point, it helped me to see things clearly, see my attachment clearly. Once we seen it clearly, and then it's much easier to let it go.
It's like the Dalai Lama talks a lot about, he's always talking about wisdom and knowledge and this analytical meditation concept. So to see clearly, but to also with wisdom and pana, as the Buddhist term. Okay, so on that topic, would you like to share a little bit about the Buddha's Four Noble Truths and how that, from my understanding, that's connected and would be related to dukkha, samudaya, and nirodha, those concepts. Would you like to, should we start to explore the Buddha's concepts now on that topic?
Yes, the Four Noble Truths was taught by Buddha was that suffering exists in all our life. The life is suffering. The life the life is start with suffering, and there is the origination of suffering, because we have the suffering in our life, but there is the origination, often the suffering from a physical suffering, a physical pain, or a mental suffering that is coming from any change that is occurring in our life, or any conditioning that we develop unconsciously, or it could be the suffering that we are believing totally in certain things that is we can call mental formation.
Mental formation.
Yes.
Could be
So
your past lives or when you're a child as well.
yes.
Yeah.
And then we have the cause of the suffering, the understanding. So once we understand also there is also a end to the suffering. This is also a cessation. So what begin must end. So there is an end to the suffering. This was also mentioned by Buddha. The end to the suffering is also seeing things clearly by following the Eightfold Path. So when we follow this Eightfold Path, we can be free from our suffering.
So just to clarify that a little further for the viewers. So the concept of dukkha is more the nature of the challenges and the suffering. Samudaya is the origin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then nirodha is more the cessation.
Cessation.
Would you say that's about contemplating on a solution of the cessation of the suffering? Is that how you view that concept?
Yes.
Okay.
So in Nirodha, how we success, it's by seeing things clearly.
Seeing things clearly.
Yes.
Keep on coming back to that.
Yes.
And the Dalai Lama talks about that a lot, seeing things clearly, understanding the mind with more wisdom and knowledge. So it's actually very different concepts to the way sometimes modern mindfulness is taught. We're talking about the concepts that the Buddha taught. It is said that he taught them when first thing the Buddha taught after enlightenment is said to be these concepts of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Okay, great. So would you like to transition into the Eightfold Path and Magga? And how is Magga? Is it a recap of the first three noble truths, or is Magga like a transition into the Eightfold Path? How would you describe the fourth noble truth? And then we could go deeper into the Eightfold Path. Yeah.
The Four Noble Truths is taught by Buddha, the first disclosure of the Buddha. So there is this path once we started to see things clearly, and then it opened up the path to Eightfold Path. That is Marga. The Marga arises when we see things clearly, and then if we follow the path of Marga, then we can eradicate any suffering that is coming on the way.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So would you like to go a little deeper on that? So the first step is to see things clearly,
Yes.
the suffering clearly, first three noble truths.
Yeah.
And the Eightfold Path, to my understanding, can be split up into three main sections. Yeah, there's the Pana,
The Pana,
and then there's the Samadhi.
there's Samadhi.
What other concept?
Yeah. The Pana, and the first thing is the Sila.
Oh, Sila.
Yeah.
Sila's the other one. Yeah.
Sila, Pana, and Samadhi. Sila, Samadhi, and Pana arises.
Okay, great. Would you like to share with us a little bit about those concepts and the relationship with those with the Eightfold Path? I think that would be great for everybody to know. And you can utilize these concepts in your meditation. They're very powerful. And we'll go a little deeper into that a little later. But these concepts are very powerful for your personal practice, and they're also good. Arvind's using these to run his workshops and retreats, so you're incorporating these concepts in your teachings in the retreats.
Yes.
Great. So yeah, would you like to share a little bit more on those three concepts? Pana, Sila, and Samadhi.
Yes. So the Sila is the basic, it's a foundational layer. In Sila, where we follow certain precept. If you do any retreats, we maintain this Sila. This is you can put it as a moral virtue. So in our retreat, we practice the 5 percept. It is also similar to the yogic concept of ahimsa.
From the Patanjali Yoga.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So here in the 5 precept, so where we don't kill anything, any animal, we don't harm any human, and we don't lie, and we don't involve in any sexual misconduct, and then we don't disturb our state of consciousness through any substance. So when we follow this 5 percept, this is very basic 5 percept for our training of the mind. So when we follow this, on top of this we practice Samadhi. The Samadhi is the training of the mind. So where we train the mind to come back to the present moment through the practice of meditation and mindfulness in whatever we do. So through this, cultivating these 2 things, the wisdom arises by itself. We're starting to see things clearly. We're starting to understand the nature of our mind, how the mind works. And we also become more and more detached to all the sensory impulse, the thoughts, what we see, what we hear. I hope you're finding this knowledge and guidance truly inspiring. And speaking of guidance, if you're feeling the calling to advance your meditation practice or to utilize the power of meditation to guide others, then there's a link in the description for you on the free training on how to become a confident meditation teacher, even if you've never taught meditation before. Having said that, let's go back to the podcast. Yeah, I think there's some good points. And the other thing that I'd like to bring up as well is that there's these other concepts that we utilize from the Buddha teaches, where we, in yogic terms, in the Pondicherry Yoga Sutras, we talk about pratyahara. So this is concept where we internalize our senses. For pratyahara, we do body scans similar to in Buddhism. Then we practice breath awareness, awareness of our emotions, and then this deepens this a little more as we're focusing on our breath. This helps us to tune into the more evolved brain. Then we're just consciously aware of thoughts and sounds, and we just go deeper and deeper. And then this is where it's much easier to practice these Buddhist concepts and these concepts from all the wisdom texts. So would you like to share how there's parallels there with the Pondicherry Yoga Sutras? Would you like to share, there's a text in Buddhism that has those 16 stages that are very similar to, it's not the Anapanasati Sutra. It's the 16th stage is from Anapanasati.
That is from the Anapanasati.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the foundation of mindfulness is divided into 4 tetrad.
Yeah, 4 different.
Because in mindfulness, the foundation of mindfulness, we contemplate 4 things. That is, we contemplate our physical body and how our breath is influencing our physical body. And then we contemplate Vedana, which is the feeling, the sensations. And we contemplate on the sensation, how the breath is influenced by certain sensations. And we also learn to calm. There's also, we do this in Alter. And then we contemplate the minds, different states of our mind, different manifestation of the mind. For example, sometimes the mind is calmer, sometimes the mind is restless. So we also contemplate how that is influenced by our breath. When our breath in this way, our mind is acting in other way. When our breath in this way, for example, when our mind is very calm, the breath is also very calm. And then we also contemplate the state of our mind. So we can put it in this way, contemplating the breath, our body, contemplating feelings, contemplating the mind object.
And within sort of the Pondicherry yoga concept, it's more to the practice more to guide you in that deep peaceful state where we can understand the nature of our mind and we can tune into our individual consciousness and have these deep meditative experiences. Is it the same context in Buddhism? So once again, I guess it's all about this getting into understanding this clear vision, this clear view that you're talking about. Do these precepts and that help you to do that? Once again, they help you to develop a clear view, or is it different concepts?
And this percept is the basic fundamental for any training, because when we don't follow this 5 percept, because these 5 things are also disturb our mind. This 5 percept, when we don't follow, our mind go into this unwholesome state. So in that unwholesome state, we have a greed, or desire, and delusion. So that is why we follow this 5 percepts in order to prevent our mind going into unwholesome state.
Okay. It's a different view from the tantric, but it's still a very, very, very useful. Okay, great. So let's go into a little more of some of these questions that you might have. Okay, great. So could you share some of the challenges that you've had with your meditation practice? And I'm sure if you wish, you could introduce some of those Buddhist concepts that we were just talking about to help you with those challenges.
Initially, when I start meditating, I experience this challenge of the restlessness that our mind is going after to the thoughts. It's following each and every thoughts, following the feelings, trying to stop the feeling, trying to stop the mind. Those are like the challenges. So I also learn about the 5 hindrances of meditations. This is also taught by Buddha in early times.
Okay, the 5 hindrances.
The 5 hindrances.
Yep.
The sensual desire.
Yep.
And also restlessness, ill will, and sloth and torpor, and then sleepiness.
Okay, great. Would you like to, what text is that from? The Buddhist text, is that from? Is it from the same text as the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path? Or?
Yes, this is from Satipatthana Sutta.
Oh, it's all from the Satipatthana Sutta. Okay, great. Yeah, would you like to share those concepts and how that helped you to overcome the challenges that you first had when you first started meditating?
The sensual desire, this is, we all experience the sensual desire, especially if we are open to many sort of meditation. Certain meditation uses a certain specific sound, or we are into the meditation of movement. There are many various type of meditation. But when we are really, when we like certain meditation so much, and then we feel like I need this meditation to go into the state of meditation. So we are really we develop a small craving for certain music or certain senses. And it could be the same concept of meditation. So when we are not really able to do it, then we are in a state of stress or disappointed. So this is what is a sensual desire. So it could be one of the hindrance to the meditation, because the meditation is simply doing nothing, simply being. But sometimes our senses need something to entertain. So we have this desire that we created because we involve in different practices. So that is why it's very common to have a sensual desire, but we need to understand that clearly, and then we can really drop it easily.
Okay, would you like to share what meditation is and how would you define that for a beginner?
Yes, meditation, it's a state of being. And there are many various meditation. There is concentration and meditation. There are many meditation for concentration in one practice where you can keep the mind in one place, whether it's breath or sound. So when we do that, we develop concentration. And as for the concentration, for the meditation, the concentration is one of the preparation. So for example, in Buddhist meditation, so we will develop the concentration through by observing the breath, making the mind one pointed on the breath. In yoga, where we will cultivate concentration by watching the candle. This is a practice of dharana.
Tratak, yeah.
Trataka or dharana. And then it helps to go deeper into meditation. And then meditation is a state of just simply being. Because to develop this state, we need to cultivate the mind, to still the mind. So that is why we have this concentration practice. And then naturally at some point when it's we practicing more concentration practice, whether it's chanting or whether it's any movement or whether it's watching the breath or watching the yantra, the sacred geometry, at some point by doing that we are making the mind one pointed. So when the mind is more one pointed, and then it's naturally going into the state of meditation.
So you're using the practices of dharana to guide you into that state, whether it's a mantra, yantra, the trataka, focusing on a flame. You could also utilize mantras as well.
Yes, mantras.
Mantras have the same, yeah. So this is, Arvind's talking about this concept of guiding into this state of being in deep meditative states. And this is achieved by these concentration and samadhi meditation techniques. And I would imagine that it's easier once you have practiced the Buddhist Four Noble Truths and you practice these other Buddhist concepts, then it's much easier for you to get into that state that you're talking about, because you start to cleanse and purify the mind. We release attachments, things that are holding us back, and all those sort of craving things. And then this is where we can have these deep meditative states. Similar concepts in Patanjali Yoga Sutras and Tantric texts, and we'll go into those into another podcast. So for now, we're talking more about the Buddhist concepts, which is, yeah, they're very, very powerful and they're very needed. And I would really encourage you to learn more than mindfulness and integrate these concepts into your practice. Okay, so what are some of the common misconceptions of meditation then?
Yes, often when we think about meditation, we have this misconception about meditation is about stopping the mind or stopping from thinking, stopping the thoughts.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, that's a very common one. And so many people challenge, I can't meditate because I can't stop my thoughts. Well, you don't have to. So let's discuss that one.
Yeah, usually, when I don't know where this is originated. So
I think I know where. I will talk about that. Yeah.
So often many students, as a beginner, when they don't have instruction in some places, in some retreats, they do complete silent. And then when we don't have this understanding of meditation, people have this certain misconception. It's about stopping the mind. And then they try to stop one thought and another thought and another thought. And then we ended up so frustrated. And then this is also one of the hindrance, that is that mind is wandering tirelessly. So it makes us tired and then we are really restless. So that is why it's a meditation. So here the process is not stopping the thought. So it's about simply being in the state of a relaxed observer.
You might want to stop some thoughts. You might have amazing, beautiful thoughts. There's no need to stop them from my perspective, yeah. Okay, so that's one misconception. I think that misconception could be from the way people have interpreted the Patanjali Yoga Sutras in the first verse, Nirodha, Vritti. I just can't remember the exact term, but I think it's
Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
Yeah. So that particular sutra is generally interpreted in very many different ways and of stopping the thoughts, whereas I don't really think that it's all about stopping the thoughts. It's more about controlling your mind and having a control in that context using the techniques from the Pondicherry Yoga Sutras. However, in Buddhism, it's similar concepts, and all these concepts that Arvind is talking about will help you to do that as well. So I think that's a misinterpretation of that text. Okay, great. So any other misconceptions, common misconceptions that students will come to you? Because Arvind is teaching regular meditation classes. He's got a lot of students from all over the world. So you're probably hearing a lot of these same question.
Yeah.
Same every week, just about, a lot of the time.
Yeah, we
what
also
else?
tend to develop like certain belief, like oh, this meditation works for me and this won't work for me, and we also concerned about the time. Maybe 5 minutes meditation works for me. I cannot meditate for 15 minutes. It's longer meditation. Longer meditations are hard. We have like so many misconceptions. No, for example, if we see like what is time, if we ask ourselves, we don't have a definition, but we tend to say like longer meditation, I cannot meditate for 5 minutes, more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, the time concept is very unique. I think the reason why people can't meditate is because they haven't learned all these techniques that Arvind's sharing. So it's very important. I can't speak from Arvind's experience, but for me, I love meditating. It's a beautiful thing. I really enjoy it, and I would never. Yes, I have challenges, and whatever arises in the mind, even after meditating for nearly 20 years, unhelpful thoughts still come. I still stress. I still worry. All sorts of unhelpful stuff comes, but you have tools to manage it. And then eventually in your meditation, your mind becomes one-pointed, and as Auroville's talking about, and you generally start to come into these higher states. Your mind becomes clearer, solutions arise, and it becomes more of an enjoyable experience. Maybe a little different to the way Auroville's practicing. Okay, great. And also on the time thing, we know from scientific studies that meditation will help us to reduce stress, anxiety. You actually live longer when you meditate. You reduce the risk of stress-related diseases. So I think from my experience, I probably added another 20 years to my life. And it's more of your quality of your life too. So when you say you don't have enough time to meditate, I think it's much more challenging if you get unwell and you live 20 years less, then it becomes a real challenge. So, okay, any other misconceptions?
So there is also concentration and meditation is two things.
Oh, they think it's two different things?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Concentration is the preparation to go into meditation. There are many concentration meditation. This is also ingrained in many tradition, many spiritual tradition, many religion also. It could be, for example, chanting could be a practice of concentration.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It comes under that category, yeah.
Yeah, because in chant we repeat certain verses again and again and again. So in that way our mind became more present in the chant. Then rather thinking, it's bringing to a certain sound when we are chanting. We can be notice the thinking is happening, but still we are actively chanting, actively being. So when we do the chanting, and this is already a practice of concentration, because in concentration we are putting some effort to do something. So this is not meditation yet. This is still a concentration.
It is still it's getting you into a deeper meditation state, but it's like the process. Yeah.
Because sometimes we have so many practice, but it's we just do the concentration and then we just don't be in a state of meditation.
It's to prepare the body and the mind for deeper meditative states. And this is just on that concept, if I could clarify a little further, when we do the Buddhist body scan techniques, we're actually concentrating the mind on different body parts. We're concentrating the mind on the breath. We're concentrating the mind on feelings and emotions. And then that's slowly deepening us into these states that you're talking about. Is that how you view it as well? Yeah. It's still a different type of concentration.
Yeah, it's like a scanning by just simply noticing, But in concentration, we keep the mind in one point, in one.
Oh, you're talking about one point of concentration. Okay.
So in
Yep.
one object of awareness, whether it's
Okay.
the breath, the sound.
Okay.
So often what we do is like this misconception. We are really good in doing things. Concentration is about doing something, just watching,
Focus,
then
achieving a goal or something.
achieving the goal, keeping the mind in one place, chanting again and again and again. But meditation, it's nothing to do, just being. So it's, you see, like there is something doing, there is none doing. It's a state of being. So often the concentration, we tend to believe this concentration is a meditation.
Oh, that's a misconception that people think, yeah, but there's more.
Yes, there is more. When we go into meditative state and there is no doing, just being, and just by being we see things clearly.
Yeah, okay. Could you, for myself and for the viewers, could you define that state of being? Because for me, I think it's a little ambiguous. So could you go deeper into that concept of the being? Is that more like what they talk about in Pondicherry Yoga Sutras, more elevated states of samadhi? Because in the Pondicherry Yoga Sutras, there's 8 stages of samadhi. So would you like to clarify that being concept in more Buddhist terms, or how would you clarify that state? Is there a classification in Buddhism?
Here, in the being state, we are simply watching. Simply put, we are simply in the state of being the observer. Observing is all this is happening, all the sensory experience that are happening. We are just having the overview of everything. By just having this overview, we can see things clearly, how this is like whenever this thought comes, there's this sensation, and then we have this, we created this cycle of the thoughts and sensation. We can clearly see that this is working in this way.
So could we put a parallel there with Sakshi, the seer, or Atma? You're tuning into your Atma or your individual consciousness. I know it's a different concept. It's more of a yogic concept, but is that along similar lines? Because we have this concept called viveka, which is higher knowledge, where we're just watching everything, and Sakshi is the seer. It is the witness. Is it similar to that? Is it a similar concept to that, the being concept?
Yes, we are simply being, and this viveka, it's the sakshi or viveka. Viveka is a determination to watch, to have this aditana. In Buddhism we call aditana.
Aditana, yeah.
This is a determination to be present and to observe or watch whatever that is happening.
And I think it's important too. Some people get a little dogmatic about, I should be practicing Buddhist, and there's all these different views of all the different texts. But if you really analyze many of the texts, there are very similar concepts, and some people resonate more with others, but I think they're all very useful. It's kind of just different lenses of viewing things, and you might find that you resonate with them in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, beautiful.
And as I mentioned earlier, if you're feeling inspired to transform your meditation practice or to share your passion for meditation with others, then don't forget about the free training on becoming a confident, certified meditation teacher, even if you're new to meditation. This resource will really help you to build the skills and confidence that you need to take your personal meditation practice to a whole new level, but also to teach meditation to others. There's a link in the description in the show notes below. Having said that, back to the podcast.
Okay, great, Arvind. So what's the best way to get started meditating?
As usual, the best way to start is to start with the concentration practice. In Buddhism, the concentration practice is to cultivate mindfulness on the breath. So we want to make the mind one pointed on the breath. It could be simply observing the in-breath and out-breath, in-breath and out-breath. So you can do this in many ways, whether you are counting the breath, or you are just noticing simply the inhalation or exhalation, or you may label the breath, labeling the breath, the rising or falling or touching and sitting, just simply acknowledging this 4 step. So in any way, we want to make the mind one pointed and one object of awareness, which is going to be our breath or the sound. So simply in that way, we keep the mind in the present moment, because the mind is more naturally peaceful when it is in the present moment. But we need to train it again and again and again. So I would recommend to start just noticing whatever that is happening in the present moment, whether it's breath, a sound, or any sensations, or whatever that is happening. But in the beginning, it's good to start with one object, with breath.
Yeah. And modern science shows us that when we're consciously aware of our breathing, it becomes a process of our more evolved brain, the neocortex. So this is why meditation is so powerful, and the emphasis on breathing in many of the traditions. It's the common central theme in all traditions and all the texts. They once again have different flavors, but we know from modern science that it activates a more evolved brain, the neocortex. So yeah, that's the reason why we focus on the breath. So how long should somebody meditate for? This is a question.
I would start with a small duration, maybe 5 minutes. So once you start practicing for 5 minutes every day, you can start every day 5 minutes, and then you can after a week or 3 weeks, because you naturally, when you do for 21 days, you build a habit, and then you can try to extend maybe a little bit, maybe from 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And then we want to progressively extend the duration, because if we start with 1 hour or 2 hours, then we notice this the hindrances, and then we withdraw from the practice. So that is why we want to start with a minimal duration, and then we want to get started and get it going, and then we get better at it, and then we slowly increase the duration of the practice.
Yeah. And there's actually studies that have shown that short, regular meditation is still very beneficial to our health and our well-being. And on that topic, if it can be quite easy just to practice 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes in the morning and at night. But if you try and sit for an hour once a month or once a week, it's a challenge, right? Even for us, it'd probably be a challenge, you know. So yeah, these short little meditations are the key, and they develop the habit, as Auroville is saying. Okay, beautiful. So would you like to explain some of the different types of meditation? We've probably gone very deep into that, but would you like to recap some of the... Let's talk about in the context of a beginner, for a beginner to learn different types of meditation, because I think that's a big challenge that many people have. They just learn meditation and they just try and practice one technique. And mindfulness could be that technique. But the thing is, from our conversation with Arvind, there's so many other different concepts in with that mindfulness as well that you need to learn. So would there be some basic techniques that would be good for a beginner to start to practice?
Yes, if we can start with the breath, because that we already have. We don't need any specific equipment or any specific music or sound. We don't need anything. We just have our own breath all the time. So it's good to start with our breath just by paying attention to our natural breath. So we can find a comfortable, quiet place, and we'll begin noticing the breath. So in that way, we train the mind to stay present on the breath. So start with this for duration of 5 minutes. In the beginning, when you find this, every time we practice this, sometimes we may notice the mind wanders away, and we want to kindly and gently, without making any judgment. Often we feel so frustrated when the mind wanders. So we are already telling a lot of things like, oh, I'm so bad at it, it's really hard. My mind goes like this, my mind is so crazy. So you want to, you see, this is like something unkind. So that is why we want to cultivate this kindness to the mind and gently bring it back to the breath. And we do this again and again every time the mind wanders. And we also don't want to force our mind. Often when we do this unkind things, we are kind of forcing the mind. And then the mind is not going to enjoy this. It's going to be really like torturing, keep doing that. So that is why we want to cultivate kindness to our mind. So every time the mind wanders, you want to simply notice it and gently bring it back to the breath. And then when we do this again and again, through this kindness, our mind became more comfortable to stay on the breath.
Compassion too, to yourself, yeah? Compassion, yeah. So there's a tip: be kind and compassionate to yourself. let your thoughts wander, because your mind will, if you follow these processes, your mind will come up with solutions, your mind will calm down, and your mind will become very peaceful by following those processes. Would you recommend guided meditations or silent meditations?
If you're a beginner, like, it's also good to start with a guided meditation so that we can really fix the mind and the guidance. So we follow the guidance. And then, the more we go practice deeper and deeper, at some point we starting to notice this guidance or this concentration technique or just preparation. And then we go into the state of meditation. So in this state of meditation, we don't need anything. It's simply being.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's important to understand, that getting guidance and learning all these different techniques that Arvind's sharing us in the beginning, if you learn all these techniques, then it becomes much easier to meditate by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do the silent meditations. Okay, great. Would you like to share us some of the scientific benefits of meditation?
So there are many research has been done on meditation. So there are many things that we found through researching of human brains. So we also seen a research of by scanning the brain of people who are regular meditator and regular not meditator. So when they scan their mind, the brain, we're starting to notice there are various changes that is happening to the physical of our brain, like physical part of our brain. So some of them are like really associated with the focus, and some of them are associated with to emotional regulation and memory power. So this is also scientifically proven. There is a lot of physical change that is occurring to our mind. And also personally in my life, I was going through really a challenging time where I went through a meditation retreat, a meditation practice regularly. And then after 10 days or 15 days, I starting to see things clearly. I started to feel joy and really calm. Then I wondered like, oh, what is the change that happened? Before I entered the retreat, I was so in this in a broken state.
Yeah.
After 5 days, what has changed in me?
Yeah, interesting.
Led me to know, to understand what happened to me when we're sitting and doing meditation. This led me to also look into like the science behind the meditation.
Yeah, okay.
To our brain.
Yep.
And then I came to realize that when we practice meditation regularly, the cognition, how we are perceiving things and how we are reacting, responding to the things, we can slow down. So the cognition is kind of restructured.
Yeah. And it's all done naturally. I think that's the most powerful thing about it. It's all done naturally, because we know from science as well that our brain naturally creates all these chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, all these chemicals that can be in balance when we do meditate a lot and do a lot of yoga and things like that. Our brain naturally produces these techniques. One study that comes to mind is Yoga Nidra. In the study, they found that it was I think it was a 30% increase in dopamine just after one session of Yoga Nidra. So that's just an example of the power of meditation. And when you heal naturally, it's so much better, because if you can develop a long practice, then you practice regularly, and the states are predictable, really, aren't they? So it's very, very powerful, and it's very, very good for your health. Okay, beautiful. What about the physical benefits, would you say? We spoke a little about the science of the mind and the studies. What about the physical benefits of meditation?
So the meditation helps to release stress, also the physical stress. Often our cognition, so how we are processing our thoughts, certain time we react to thought in a rumination that develops that manifests a physical stress in the body. Meditation helps to slow down the cycle, so reduce this reaction to this cognition, whatever that is happening. So rather the reactor, we are being the observer, so that we can see this is happening. So when we're in the being in the state of an observer, without reacting, without judging whatever that is happening, by simply being, we are moving into the state of calm. So when we are in the calm, there is not much stress, there is more relaxed and we are also aware what is happening.
Yeah, and it's very powerful. If I could expand on that, what Arvind just said is, when we do meditate, we guide ourselves out from it's called the sympathetic nervous system state into the parasympathetic nervous system state. And the reason why this is powerful, the parasympathetic nervous system state is the relax and rejuvenate state of the body. So the body naturally starts to heal and repair. And furthermore, when we are stressed, adrenaline, cortisol, and other chemicals pump into our bloodstream, and it shuts down the production of the body's systems that we know that we don't need for fight and flight response. Because if we're in danger and we're stressed, cortisol and adrenaline pump into the bloodstream. There's chemical processes that shut down our reproductive system because that's not needed when we fight-flight response. Our bone marrow production, and there's all these systems within the immune system. All these systems are shut down so we can fight and flight. Now, our body is designed to naturally calm back down, and then we proceed during our day, and it naturally comes back into the rest and rejuvenative healing state. But what happens is in the modern daily life, we're continually stressing throughout the whole day. So it's affecting our respiratory system, our cardiovascular system. The adrenaline, cortisol is reducing oxygen and energy into our organs and the body processes. And this is how illnesses occur. And this is why meditation is so powerful, because it guides you back into that rest and restorative state where this state called homeostasis occurs within the body and the mind. And that's why it's so powerful on our health and our well-being. I thought I just would add that to your additional benefits.
Yes. And the breath is the key to understand. Yes, because we activate our nervous system. We can also control our nervous system through the breath. So even in practice of anapanasati, where we will contemplate different types of breath, the short breath, a long breath.
Yeah.
So the short breath has this effect of when we have a short breath in our daily life. It could be like when we're feeling anxious, often our breath is short. So when we have the short breath, this results in activation of our mind. Our mind is racing with the thoughts. And also when we get a short breath, that is like, it's a sign that we don't have enough oxygen when we have a short breathing. This also sending signal to our nervous system and the brain that, this activate our the fight or flight response. So to be very calm, we need really a conscious deep breath. So when we have a deep breath, we are having enough oxygen in the body. So this also activate the parasympathetic.
Yeah. So if we could go a little deeper into that and on reducing stress, because the breath is connected, as you said, to the stress. These shamanic and breathing techniques where people are doing rapid mouth breathing techniques, it's not very good for your health because you're modeling anxious nervous behavior from my studies. So do you have that same view? And would you like to go a little deeper into that? Because you were talking about the classical Buddhists, talking about the short breath is where the mind is not stable. Would you like to expand on that concept?
Yes, in classical Buddhist texture, the anapanasati, so it is not a breathwork practice. It is contemplating the breath with our physical body, contemplating the breath with the feelings, the mind, and state of the mind. So there is no like altering the breath, or there's no controlling the breath.
It's different to the pranayama practices, but well, certain pranayama practices. Yeah, so on that topic, if you are like breathing like this, you're not going to be able to be aware of these things. You're not going to be able to contemplate on the body. You're not going to be able to understand your feelings and emotions. So there's no awareness. There's no being when you're doing these rapid mouth breathing. So I think I'd just like to bring up that topic because I have my mother actually passed away as an asthmatic, and that's how she used to breathe, do all these rapid mouth breathing. And she died a very tragic death, very unhealthy. And so I'm on a bit of a mission to share and to help people not to do a lot of these rapid mouth breathing techniques because they're not aligned with any modern science. They're not aligned with the Buddhist teachings, and they're certainly not aligned with any of these classical pranayama techniques, and also the modern Buteyko method, which is designed for people who have asthma. And rapid mouth breathing is related to people who have heart attacks, stress, anxiety, diabetes. They all breathe in this way with the rapid mouth breathing.
Yeah. No, our nose is designed to breathe.
The nose is designed to breathe.
We have a lot of organs,
Yep.
a lot of device here that filters the,
Yep.
the prana from oxygen. When we breathe through the mouth, we don't filter, we just inhale, because often the air have like certain nowadays the air is so polluted, a lot of particles in the air that we don't see.
Yep.
When we breathe through the mouth, we are taking all the
Straight into the lungs, yeah.
So that is why nowadays there are so many practices that uses the mouth breathing, and that also have like certain benefit to. It is also depends on the practitioner and how long you breathing, but mainly our nose is designed to breathe.
Yeah. And just in addition to that too, when we breathe through the nose, we more diaphragmatic breathe. And there's chemicals that are produced in our nose, such as nitric oxide. And what this chemical does is it facilitates the chemical process of more oxygen into our bloodstream of our body and also our brain. Furthermore, if you breathe out too much through the mouth, you actually breathe out too much carbon dioxide. People think carbon dioxide is a waste product, but it's actually an essential chemical for the absorption of oxygen into the bloodstream. So if you breathe too much through your mouth, you're actually inhibiting the oxygen absorption in your body, your mind, and all of your internal organs. This is just 100% pure science. So beautiful. I'm glad we covered that topic. Okay, great. So we spoke about all the amazing benefits. We spoke about the breath. We've gone deep into the amazing Buddha's original teachings that he first taught after enlightenment. So how can someone experience all these amazing benefits and develop a regular practice?
Because the regular practice is very, very necessary. You can also relate this with the physical activity. The regular exercise of the physical body, it is very important so that we can actively move in our daily life. And also same with the meditation as well. So when we practice regular meditation, that also helps to to reduce stress and also to regulate our emotion. Because when we do this practice regularly, consistently, there is a lot of changes that is happening. So when we have an inconsistence, then we also not developing really in a consistent way. It is if we find this challenging when we don't practice regularly. Some days we find the meditation is challenging, stuck by one of the hindrances, and then we withdraw from the practice. So that is why we want to have this habit of meditation very consistently. You can also link this habit of meditation with something that we do every day, whether before the breakfast or after the shower. So whenever we had the shower, then we start with the meditation 5 minutes or before going to the bed. So in that way we link the habit with something that we do daily. So in that way we have that meditation consistently.
And it doesn't have to be much. Just 5 minutes every day is a great way to get started. And the beauty of the short little meditations is, as I was saying, it develops a longer practice. And then it does become easier if you come to a class and you sit a little longer, and it becomes more enjoyable on top of learning all the techniques that Auroville has been sharing with us. Okay, great. So on that topic, to help us develop a regular meditation practice, how do we deal with those distractions, restlessness, and things like that?
So there are 5 hindrances, as I said, the sensual desire, understanding how our senses craving for certain techniques or certain music or certain way of meditating. So when we open to any meditation, that's why we want to have this beginner's mindset. So we want to first let it go, whatever we learn. We start from the beginner mindset. So this will helps to come back to open our mind for the experience. Otherwise, if you go with a certain concept, then we are not really open for any experience to arrive. We are blocking this way of the path to experience. So that is why we want to unlearn whatever we learn, especially if you are going on a retreat or any class you are attending. So we want to really have this beginner mindset. So that is why often as a beginner, we experience sensual desire And also the restlessness is very, very, very common, that the mind is wandering. Because of our habitual thinking way, our mind became like more restlessness, because we are more into doing things than being. So that is why our mind is like, what is next, what is next, what is next, and this and this. So it will be very easy for our mind to follow certain things, follow a music or following certain technique, whether it's following a certain voice or repeating certain chants. So that is why especially when we have a thoughts, we also like so entertained by the thoughts. So this is why it makes us to feel restlessness, because we are giving rise to the thoughts that we like, and also we are putting effort to stop the thought we don't like. Then our mind is so like doing many things, so it's restless. So we want to understand, so when you practice meditation, there is nothing to stop and nothing to control. He simply wants to be in the state of relaxed awareness, relaxed observer, and we simply wants to watch all this is happening, and we don't want to catch anything, because often we are catching to what we like. It could be certain thoughts, certain idea that comes up during meditation. We tend to immediately grab them. So it is okay if we find ourselves catching in something, we want to really drop and we want to return to the practice. So when we returning, coming back and coming back, this is also a practice that we cultivate for ourselves. This is also a practice of detaching. So when we do meditation, this is also a practice of detachment. So whenever our mind wanders, we have this opportunity to detach from the wandering mind. And it is also okay, some days of our practice, you're gonna witness this restless mind. This is also an aspect of our mind. There is an aspect that is the calm mind. There is also an aspect, the mind is restlessness. So you want to observe, also be kind to the restless mind. We want to do our best to come back to the present moment.
So I hope you're finding this conversation fascinating and it's really resonating with you. Just as a reminder, if you'd love to explore and take your meditation practice to a whole new level, or perhaps share your passion for meditation by becoming a meditation teacher, I've got something really special for you. I'll put together a brand new free training that breaks down everything that you need to become a confident, certified meditation teacher. In this training, you'll discover how to build unwavering confidence teaching meditation. You'll discover how to create transformative meditation sessions, workshops, and retreats that your students will really love and keep on coming back. You'll also go and discover a proven path for building a fulfilling, sustainable business in just 90 days. So click on the link in the description of the show notes to get access to your free training. There's no charge for it, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, and then if you give your mind freedom, observe it with compassion, that's when it becomes calmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a classical story about an Indian prince. He had this horse and no one could control this horse. I don't know if you've heard the story. You probably have. Do you want to tell the story or?
I can tell.
Yeah, so this is my brief interpretation of it. So what the prince did was he sent out a message to everybody in the land to try and tame this horse, because no one could tame the horse. And everybody tried. He offered riches to somebody who could, and no one could tame this horse, a wild stallion, like all of our minds. So what happened was some Indian guy came, and he took the horse by the rein. He didn't try and ride it at all. He just guided it by the reins. And then he come back in a couple of years' time, riding the horse, like a champion. And then the king gave him the riches, and then said, "Well, how did you tame the horse? No one in my kingdom could tame this horse." And he said, "Well, I gave the horse freedom for the first so many months. I just let it in the paddock, let it do its thing. Then for another so many months, all I did was hold the reins. I didn't try and hop on the horse. I gave the horse freedom, and I just let the horse walk around. And then I slowly guided the horse with the reins for another few months. And then I hopped on the horse. I gave the horse freedom. I let the horse walk around. And then finally, step by step, he started to guide the horse to where he wanted it to go. So I'm not too sure if I spoke about the story exactly how it was told, but the point here is that we need to give the mind freedom, especially in the initial stages of our meditation. Don't try and stop your thoughts and control your thoughts. We want to watch this from this highly aware state where we can understand, resolve, and then we can also integrate these concepts, other Buddhist concepts if you want. But the initial stages is to just give the mind freedom and don't try and control it. Is that, did I get that correct?
No, it is very, very common because when we don't do meditation, our mind goes into untrained mind. We also call it the monkey mind.
The monkey mind, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the mind jump from the past to future and future to past, and it barely sit in the present moment. So that is why every time the mind wanders, we don't want to force ourselves to really. We don't want to be unkind to our mind. And it is okay, the mind wanders. This is also an aspect of our mind.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I've come up with this concept in relation to that, where if your best friend come to you and said, hey, can you help me with this problem I've got? And then you just go to yourself, you go to your friend, oh, just stop your thoughts and still your mind. That person wouldn't be your friend. So if you are meditating and you're automatically trying to stop your thoughts and still your mind, it's kind of doing that to that analogy, because you need to understand and watch and be compassionate, listen. We're listening to your own mind in a way, I guess, isn't it? Maybe that's not the correct auditory term, but the concept is there. So you need to have this compassion and kindness to your own self. Let the thoughts arise. There's another analogy. If you have a ball and you push it underwater, you keep on pushing it down, the ball will arise with more power. And this is why we have these emotional outbreaks and we do things that we wish we hadn't done. Beautiful. Okay, so let's go on to some of the spiritual aspects, because some people think that meditation, you have to be have belief in Hindu gods, or you have to you have to have some sort of, if there's a cult or something like that. So some people have a very not a clear view on that topic. So let's explore do you have to be spiritual, or do you have to believe in any gods to meditate?
Oh, as I said, the meditation is a state of being. But to go to that state, there are many ways. You can also see that in many different views. There is this religion, we say this technique is all it's like a lens to see things clearly. So there are many religion or many practice that start by certain gods and certain religion. The practice, those are maybe the techniques of concentration. And then when they do this more and more, and this that bring us to state of meditation. So that is why for meditation, there is no concept. It's just simply being. But there are many ways to develop this state of being, to get to that state of being. There are many ways to concentrate our mind so that we can go into the meditation.
And it's said that the Buddha neither taught, he taught belief or disbelief in God, correct? Yeah, so, but then on the other side of the spirituality thing, especially in the Indian Hindu philosophy, they accept all gods. So everything is a god. They worship everything and the attributes of all the different gods. But however, you don't have to have any belief in gods. And I think the beauty of these yogic concepts, we're diverging in a little bit into the yogic concept, is that there is no dogma. They accept all gods, whether it's Christianity, Sufi, or Muslim. There's the basic concept is that we accept everything, because it can only be all. They're all just different manifestations.
Yes.
Realistically, it's all one, depending on how you want to view that. So I think there should be more of that in the world, where there's more acceptance of everybody's belief, and you have your own beliefs, and that's your personal belief. But then we just accept everyone else's belief, and we be kind and compassionate to everybody else's religion.
Yes. If you see all the religion, all the practice or technique, at the end, it's all about coming to the present moment.
Yeah, and connecting with your, if we diverge, your faith in your higher reality, if you wanted to view it from the spirituality way, or once again, Buddha neither taught belief or disbelief in God. So it's up to you. It's your personal connection with whatever you want to believe. It's perfectly fine and perfectly accepted by us here. Okay, great. So I hope you're finding this conversation really inspirational and it's helping you to overcome these obstacles and misconceptions, and also helping you to gain this knowledge that can really help you to enjoy your meditation practice and to develop a regular meditation practice. Because honestly, it's not really that hard if you have all these techniques. Once you have the techniques, it can really help you to sit with more ease and really enjoy your meditation and be kind and compassionate to your own mind, as Arvind's saying. So on that topic, how can meditation help us to overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs? Because this is very important.
Yes, this fear, it's all a response to certain pain. Because when this happen, we creating a certain conditioning. Often when we develop this conditioning of the fear or any trauma response, we tend to have this this program. We can put it in a way, a program or conditioning. So when we have this reaction is very quick. So when we do meditation, we're starting to cultivate coming to the present moment and slowing down everything, noticing the thoughts are arising, noticing the sensations, emotion. So in that way, we are also cultivating a non-reactive awareness to whatever that is happening. So in that way, when we really slow down, it helps to see things clearly. And this also help us to see how is our mind producing thoughts, it produces certain sensation, and then how is the reaction.
Yeah, and just on that topic, Arvind was talking about how our mind, it is like a recorder. So it records everything. And on top of that, when we have an experience in our life, we see it, so we capture it with our eyes. There's an emotional content that is stored in our bodies as well. We feel the thing, we see it, we hear it, and we cognitize it as well. So what's happening during meditation is that these past experiences are arising into our conscious awareness. And this is why we need to watch and observe and practice all these concepts we've been talking about. So there's nothing wrong with you if this stuff is arising. Your mind remembers and captures everything, and it needs to be processed or resolved or understood by using all these amazing Buddhist techniques. And when you do that, that's when you heal. You start to release the emotional charge of these past experiences, and it becomes a very powerful, liberating, healing experience. Okay, so let's go a little deeper into this topic. And how can we emotionally heal with the power of meditation?
When we do meditation, especially when we go deeper into the meditation, often sometimes we may notice there is some long-term memories are coming in the form of thoughts. Often we also notice certain things we never thought in that way that comes to our consciousness. So certain things we also associated with certain emotion. So when we do meditation in the state of the being, so we don't control anything. We don't control certain emotion. We also don't control the mind. A state of being, a state of really allowing, accepting whatever that is coming up. So in the state of this acceptance, so we allow also whatever that emotion is like discharging from the body. Sometimes we can also clearly see whenever we have certain thoughts, the thoughts related to certain fear, and then when we really allow the fear, and this fear also linked to certain emotion. So in that way, we really give our body freedom to let this emotion flow in the body, so that it's starting to release, and then we're coming back to the present moment. So once this intense, this energy, the emotion is simply the energy in motion. So when we do meditation, we simply allow this energy to move, and we are not moving, it's just happening. And we just give our body freedom to really move, let it move.
Yeah, the thing is naturally healing itself.
Yeah, it's naturally healing itself. It's simply allowing and witnessing. And once it's starting to release, and then our body is more free from this emotion that has been in the body for a longer time. Then we naturally coming back to the present moment, and there is a healing. The healing is coming back to the present moment.
So would you say meditating is putting us into that place where our body naturally heals?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, beautiful. So let's move on. On that topic of being, do you think that's related to awareness? You're talking about this highly aware state of being.
Yeah, it is a state of being. It is also a state of lovingly accepting.
Lovingly accepting. Lovingly accepting the self. That's a practice in motion. Okay, beautiful. So how can meditation help us improve our relationships, I would say, with ourselves and also with other people?
So, no, the research has been proved that meditation improves a lot of changes in our brain, especially with our cognition and also our emotional regulation. So whenever in a relationship, sometimes we may also develop certain patterns that we got it from our parents through how they raised us. In some certain situation, we reacting in a certain way. Then meditation helps to really to calm this impulsive reaction to the situation, and also helps to really regulate our emotion, so that we can really, in a stressful moment, we can really stay stable. Just noticing this emotion is there, these thoughts are happening. So when we practice more and more meditation, we also naturally become less reactive to all this. But when we don't practice meditation, often in relationship, there is so many reaction that is involved, like so many triggers that happen, and then we react so quickly. That when if you do meditation or practicing mindfulness or meditation, we'll be really mindful of our words or mindful of our action. So that is where the meditation improves a lot in how we respond to the stressful situation, to our stress or our triggers.
Yeah, so the added benefit of learning meditation is that you have more harmonious relationships with the people in your life as well. I think that's a very powerful one, because many people are challenged with that as well, and they
Yeah. And also we also understand ourselves even much better, and then we can really hold space for our own emotion. So when we do meditation, sometimes the emotion arises, so we can really see that clearly and also see where this comes from, and simply so when we do that, we're starting to feel compassion towards ourselves.
I was about to say that, but you already said it before me. So yeah, that's the key thing, is to be kind. We're all human beings. We're all what's that word? We're all something in a process. We're all evolving. We're all growing. We're all changing. So it's very important to be kind and compassionate to yourself. Okay, beautiful. So we covered a lot of great stuff. Would you like to summarize for us?
Summarize.
Everything we've spoken about.
Yeah, we spoke about what is meditation and challenges of meditation, and how we can start meditation as a beginner, what is the method that you can follow, and also the misconception of meditation, and also the spiritual aspect of meditation, and also the science behind the meditation, like what happened to our brain. So there are many topics we covered. And also we discuss about the Buddhist and yogic concept.
Yeah,
The
the
meditation.
different lens as well. Yeah. So, okay, everybody, hope you really enjoyed that. Hope you found it really fascinating, and hope it inspires you to practice more. As Auroville has said, you only need to practice for 5 minutes to develop a long lasting practice, and you develop the habit, and then you can experience all those amazing things of better health, thinking more clearly, better relationships. You can live longer. You're more kind and compassionate to yourself. You're more kind and compassionate to others. There's so many amazing benefits of meditation. So really hope you found this conversation inspiring, and it helps you to develop a long-lasting meditation practice. And if you'd like to go deeper into learning meditation, we'll leave some links for both myself and Arvind to take your meditation practice to a whole new level. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe or follow whatever platform you're on to be notified of more enlightening concepts and tips to master your meditation practice. Thanks very much. And thanks for the chat, Arvind. Appreciate it. Peace.